Howdy folks, this morning's soap is going to be from West Shaving. Name of it is Black Bart, and the scent on this one here is black licorice and cedarwood. Now this is a very unique scent. That's what the soap looks like on the inside there. It's fairly firm, but it comes out pretty easy when you scrape it out, put it into a bowl. Definitely can smell the black licorice. It's a very unique scent. I've got it whipped up here in the bowl with a Vie Long horsehair. Got it pretty wet. It's you can smell it coming right out of the bowl. It could be that maybe I'm not traveling in the right circles or looking at the right soaps, but I don't know of very many soaps that are black licorice scented, and it's very unique to me. Got the alum block complete with rubber band. Got witch hazel with aloe, Thayer's, and I also, this is the only one I have, but I'm going to try the aftershave here that comes in a spray, so we'll see how that works for me because I haven't used it just yet. This will be my first time. And the shaver of the day, this came to me by the way of Metalworks, and you may see something that would be very similar to this with injectors from, I think it's North Shore, that will customize a handle for a Schick Injector. And this one here, if I'm not mistaken, is a G model. One of the easiest ways to tell the difference between this one and an E that looks very close to this, I'm going to refer to it as a little flap right there. There's one on each side on an E, and this one's a G. There's another way of telling also is that the you have to really look. There's lines that are going across the bar here that are parallel with each other, and on the E version they kind of go any which way. That's probably about the best way to put it. But at any rate, I've already put a hot towel to the face, and oh yes, can't forget, I'm going to be using the pre-shave. This is Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements mentholated. It's scentless outside of the menthol, if you will, and it comes in a, I like this makes it a little bit less messy to work with as opposed to just a puck and get it on your hand and whatnot, but I'll try that one eventually when this one is gone. Back to the soap. Like I say, I don't know, and maybe I'm just not traveling in the right circles to find another soap with black licorice. Black licorice, it is, I guess you might say, a strong or a stout scent, and it may not be for everyone. And I think the cedarwood being added to it, at least in my opinion, kind of takes the the black licorice down a little bit. Like I say, you just have to smell it. That's about the best way to put it. Sometimes, you know, when you look at a scent description and you try to imagine what the scent is like, and then when you finally get the soap or the aftershave, it may or may not be what you expected. And I guess you might say that also depends on what the user is used to smelling and what their imagination is associated with that scent. It's kind of like certain odors. It's hard to describe, but you can associate it with a particular scent. And this one here definitely is, you can definitely associate it with black licorice. That's the, I guess you might say, the first and foremost scent that you get right off the bat, even for my nose. Excuse me. For me, I really like the scent because it is so unique. I guess you might say it works well for my nose because I can smell it. Doesn't matter what kind of day I'm having with my nose, I can smell Black Bart. Russell, while West Shaving, he's got a little bit of information concerning Black Bart, the character that's on the front of the soap container there. If you're wondering about that container holds about 2 ounces of soap, It is a plastic container that resembles a snuff can, tobacco can if you will, for chewing tobacco. So if you're wondering about the container that it's in, most of, I think all of them, as far as I know, unless he has a one-off, comes in 2-ounce containers. So to me that's pretty handy to have because it's easy for storage, doesn't take a whole lot of room. Your price is different, so you can even have some, I guess you might say, some more variety if you're trying to keep it down on the budget, as well as the fact you may not have enough room. Now I'm looking around in my bathroom, in other words, and it's tight in here. It's not a big bathroom anyway. Go ahead and get started. Oh, by the way, this also has a Personna blade in it. For me, I get pretty good shaves with Schick injectors. More or less, I would say there's probably 2 makers of the blades for these kind of shavers. Schick is one of them, and Personna being the other one. I could be wrong, but I think the makers of the supply injector, I think those blades are Personna. They're just not marked as such. I could be wrong, but it sure does look like it to me. The blades online aren't too terribly difficult to find. Probably to make it worth your while if you are an injector shaver. The cheapest that I have found them would be, the name of the website, if I'm pronouncing this right, is Pella. In my opinion, if you go that route, and you haven't used it before, just be aware that I guess you might say the shipping is, how they figure the shipping is after the fact. So in other words, you place your order and then you'll get a correspondence back from them letting you know what the total price is, including the shipping, as opposed to how most of us are usually traditionally used to shopping, that we know what the shipping charges and everything is before you place your order. And so I guess you might say what I would do is when I do order any blades from them, I guess you might say I order in bulk. Because I think, if I remember correctly, you get 20 blades for, I think it's like $4.20, somewhere in there. Typically the going rate for Personna pack of 20 injector blades, you're looking at roughly $10 plus or minus $1 or $2. I think I've seen them as cheap as $9, but usually closer to $10 or $11. Excuse me. So of course, these blades being single edged are thicker than a DE blade. Excuse me. So the shave feel is going to be different. But depending on your beard type, which some of that information you can get from, I think the actual website is called Get Supply, their injector shaver that they have, and which I do have one, I really like it. That it talks about how many shaves a person might be able to expect to get out of the blades. I know for me, I don't know if I'd consider my blade type, my beard type normal. so your mileage may vary on how many uses you get out of a blade. For me, once you, it's not, to me it's not difficult to learn how to shave with a Schick Injector, and probably has a lot to do with, you know, the technique of learning how to finding the angle, which is not difficult, in my opinion. But I think because of the blade, the thickness of the blade, the shave feel is different than, definitely different than a DE. So you may not appreciate that kind of shave. But if you're used to shaving with a shavette or a straight razor, this kind of shave feel might be easier to adjust to. These shavers are really inexpensive when you get looking for a Schick. I mean, some of them may not, you know, be the prettiest in the world, but they still shave just fine, in my opinion. I've got a few. You can pick them up as cheap as $10. You can even pick up some pretty unique ones for around the $15 to $20 range. Like I said, if you buy them in bulk in the way of blades from Pella, you can get quite a few blades that'll last you a year, depending on how many you want to buy, how many shaves you get out of each blade. And they don't take up a whole lot of room either. In other words, the cartridges and whatnot with the key, and in other words, if you're not familiar with them, it's not as bad as it sounds. And relatively easy. There's little quirks about installing a blade, getting the old one out, but it's not too tough. Considering you get 20 blades for under $5, even if you were to get 5 shaves out of each one of them, that's 100 days worth of shaves. That's pretty inexpensive. Now if you're looking on Amazon, you'll see Schick injector blades pretty easy. They'll come up without too much work. You don't have to hunt too hard for them. But you will see Personna hair shaper blade, the mini hair shaper blades, the mini ones, and those do not come with what they refer to as the key. That's the part that you put inside the injector head here, and want to be careful not to get those. In other words, thinking that the blade itself will work in here. It's just it doesn't have the key for it. So that's something that a person needs to be aware of. And there are still, last time I looked, it's been a moment, I think Amazon had a few of the vintage blades still on their website that you can get a hold of. Something to be aware of. because those blades may, in other words, you may not get 20 in a pack. They may come closer to being 7 or something of the sort. Whatever it was back then. If you're wondering about the mini hair shaper blades, they fit. They have different uses, and one of them happens to be there is a, I guess you might call it a shavette that that those blades will fit in. I have a, I think it's, if I pronounce it correctly, a Sanguine Cool Cut 9. We'll take one of those mini hair shaper blades, which is the same thing as an injector blade. It just doesn't have that. The dispenser just doesn't have that key. It'll take that blade. Don't need the key, in other words, in order to use it. Might get a little bit of stinging down on my neck today. That is, for my nose, in other words, your nose, maybe you pick up something different. When you're first whipping up Black Bart and the licorice, in other words, it's there. It's right there. Not a problem smelling it. The scent has died down. It's not near as noticeable as it was when I first started. So if you're concerned that, you know, when you're smelling the soap right out of the container, that's what it's going to smell like when you're done. No, that's not the case. That is usually the case on a lot of soaps. Thayer's. It's the reason why I don't worry too much about mixing and matching soap scents with aftershaves, because especially per my nose, that scent's not going to interfere with the scent of the soap's not going to interfere with the scent of the aftershave. And depending on your aftershave, what kind you get, scent may not last, you know, 2 or 4 hours anyway. And at that point, in other words, it's dying down through the whole time. I think what I'm going to do, I'm a little concerned with sprays, even including colognes and whatnot, so that are spray. I'm going to squirt this in my hand and then put it on my face. It's one of those things that you just do not want to get that stuff in your eyes. And for me, I don't want it on my glasses. Smells great. It's just a unique scent that works for me. Like I say, you may not like the black licorice, but if you're looking for something unique to use from time to time that might be different, this is definitely the one. It'd be interesting to know how this would work during the summer. You're going outside, you know, you're going to sweat a little bit, how that may or may not change the scent of your aftershave, especially a black licorice. Just, it's awesome. Shaver of the day. This is Schick Injector with a custom handle from Metalworks. Jake did this one for me. Like I said, North Shore, you might see some postings from time to time, especially on Instagram, where somebody has asked them to do a custom handle for them. And sometimes they take the original one and pretty it up, if you will. Looks great. Really enjoyed this shaver. And that's an all brass handle, by the way, so it's got a little bit of weight behind it. Feels good. Had a good shave. Hope everybody's doing well. If you're out traveling, be safe, especially with the weather. Weather's been around my neck of the woods. If it's not freezing rain, it's definitely wet. And I think I'm supposed to get some more rain today. Flood warnings, watches are all out. So anyway, everybody stay safe and smooth shaves to you.